In today's session, we are going to focus entirely on something which is called as VLOOKUP, which is also termed as vertical lookup. Now, what is VLOOKUP? VLOOKUP is a function or a formula. Now, if I tell you that before today, you have been using VLOOKUP in your daily work or in your daily life, you may not believe me if I tell you that you have been using VLOOKUP or vertical lookup. You may not believe me, but let me give you an example. We've all appeared for examinations, and when we get our results, what do? We go to the board where our results are displayed, and then after going to the board where our results are displayed, what do? We look vertically in the list. After looking vertically in the list, when we find our examination ID or our roll number, we then start looking horizontally. And when we look horizontally, we get the data from the same row but from separate column headers. That is exactly what VLOOKUP does. VLOOKUP looks up your leftmost column. And then when it finds the entry in the leftmost column, it starts looking along the same row. And within that, it looks for items from different column headers. So let me give you an example here. If I have the employee name, once I look in the employee code column for the employee name Charles, then it will start looking horizontally and give me data from the same row. That means for the same employee, but from different column headers. That is exactly what VLOOKUP, or as we call it, vertical lookup does. Vertical lookup looks up the leftmost column and gives you the data from the same row but from different column headers. Let us go ahead one step further and let me share another example with you of VLOOKUP or vertical lookup. Okay, the next column of VLOOKUP or vertical lookup, which I am going to share with you, is the PNR number when you're traveling by train. You have your PNR number. What do? You go to the train station, you go to the list and you look for that particular PNR number. And once you find it, you start looking horizontally. Once you find it, you start looking horizontally. So basically, VLOOKUP, or as the name suggests, VLOOKUP, vertical lookup, looks in the leftmost column for the item from the same row, right? Row is the same, but from different column headers. Is it clear, everyone? Let us go ahead and let us come here. And the first thing, in order to make my VLOOKUP or my vertical lookup dynamic, I will create a drop down or a list. A drop down or a list will enable me to have the items of my employee names in this particular drop down. So here I will have all my employee names. So how will I create the drop down? Can anyone tell me in the chat box very quickly? How will I create the drop down? Which command will I use to create drop down? Which command will I use for the drop down? Which is the command that I will use to create a drop down? Which command will I use, everyone? Which is the command I will use to create drop down? Haven't we done this before? Drop down, what will we use? To create a drop down, which is the command that we will be using, everyone? Am I audible, everyone? Am I audible? Am I audible, everyone? Yes.
Yes.
What command do we use to create drop down? If I want to make a drop down for employee name, which is the command that I will use? Is it data validation? Yes, correct. Won't I use data validation to create drop down? Okay. Okay. How will I create the drop down? Click here. Go to data. Under data tools, in the drop down, you will see data validation. So under data tools, you will see data validation. Data validation will allow you to create a drop down or a list. Data validation will allow you to create a drop down or a list. So what will I do? I will click on data validation. Validation criteria allow, I will say list. Validation criteria, I will say allow a list. In source of the list, I will come to the label of the name and just below that, Control Shift and down arrow key. Click here, say OK. And when I do a control backspace and I scroll to the top, I will get my drop down. To go back, you can use control and backspace. Is it clear, everyone? Can you all try this much? Can you all try this much, everyone, please? Can everyone try this much, please? Does anyone want me to repeat this, how to create a drop down using data validation?
Madam, can you please explain again, please? Thank you.
Yes, sure. So firstly, how do you clear validation? There are two ways of clearing validation. If you take an empty cell, you copy it and paste it where you've done validation, the rules of validation will get erased or your drop down will get removed, and this cell will no longer be a cell which is with a validation or with a drop down. The other way of clearing it is select the cell, go to data tools where we went for data validation. So under data, you have data validation. Under data, you have data validation. And here, just do clear all and say, okay, the rules of validation will get erased. The rules of validation will get erased. Okay. So how will we remove the rules of validation? Select the cells. Under data, go to data tools. In the drop down, you will see data validation. Click on it and here just do a clear all. This will enable you to remove the rules of validation from the cells. Now let's see how to apply it. Take a blank cell, go to the data tab. Under data tools, in the drop down, you have data validation. Data validation allows you to create a drop down or a list. I repeat, data validation allows you to create a drop down or a list. So click on data validation, allow, and under allow choose list. Under allow always choose list because we want to create a drop down or a list. In source of the list, you take the items which you want to be a part of your list. So there will be items which you would like to populate your list with. Those items will be the source of your list. So click here, and under employee name, all the names of the employees I will select using Control Shift and down arrow key. Click here and you will see it has taken a reference of $C $5 is to $C $712. Click on OK and do Control backspace to go to the top. Now, though you have created your drop down, there is nothing chosen here. Though you have created your drop down, there is nothing chosen here. You can now click on this here, the drop down pointer, and choose an option. Now your drop down is working, and every time you click on the drop down, you can keep changing the employee name. Now, if I would have my VLOOKUP formulas dependent on the employee name, every time I change my employee name, you will see a change in the department, the status, the hire date, the years worked, as well as the salary. Let us try that. But before that, I want you to complete creating a drop down, everyone. Create a drop down using data validation and let me know in the chat box, please. Create a drop down using data validation and let me know in the chat box. When you all are done, I will start explaining the VLOOKUP formula. Everyone has completed drop down. The important part of the drop down is not only creating the drop down, it is also important to select the item in the drop down. Very often we create the drop down, but the important step that we forget is we forget to select the item within the drop down. Now let me come here and let me explain to you the VLOOKUP formula. The VLOOKUP formula has 4 parts. First stands for lookup value. Lookup value stands for what are you searching for. So here I'm searching for employee name. I could be searching for customer code. I could be searching for PAN card number. I could be searching for product number. I could be searching for order number. So I could be searching for different things when it comes to lookup value. The lookup value keeps changing. So what are the properties of the lookup value? What are the properties of the lookup value? It keeps changing. Okay. You look up the lookup value. Okay. Correct. And based on that, the VLOOKUP will update. Correct. Is it clear? Now let's go to second part of the formula, which says table of array. Table of array stands for your data or your range of cells or where you are searching. So the place where you are searching is your table of array or your range of cells, or you can also call it your data. Alternatively, you can also refer to it as your database. So any of these terminologies can be used for your table of array. So first you have lookup value, then you have table of array. Then you have something which says column index number. Column index number stands for the column number from where you want to pick up data. Column index number stands for the column number from where you want to pick up the data. So if you want to pick up data from column 1, then your column index number will be 1. If you want to fetch data from the 5th column, your column index number will be 5. At the moment, what I am doing is I'm only explaining parts of the formula. When you understand the different parts of the formula, you can apply the formula in any scenario or in any context, right? So the final part over here in this particular formula is type of match. Now there are two types of match, approximate or exact. If you're looking at exact values, it will always be an exact match. But if you're looking within ranges of cells, it will be an approximate match. So you have two types of values. One is an exact match. The other one is an approximate match. Any questions so far? Did everyone follow the formula? Did everyone understand the formula? Yes, do you all want me to repeat the parts of the formula or all are okay? Okay, in order to clean this data, I will go to the Home tab and under Editing, I will do a Clear All. Clear All will clear the entire array. Now, I will actually real time start punching in the formula for VLOOKUP for the department formula. I will now start applying the VLOOKUP in case of department. So here, since I want the answer to be in this particular cell, which is L9, I will start typing in my VLOOKUP formula here. Begin with an equal to sign and say VLOOKUP for vertical lookup. Open the bracket. VLOOKUP, open bracket. First it says lookup value. Lookup value, as the name suggests, stands for what are you searching for, or what is the item that you are looking for. So here the lookup value is employee name. Here the lookup value is employee name. Comma. Then we have table of array. Table of array stands for where are you searching. So if I am looking for employee name, Lisa, and her department, which is the data which I am searching within? Am I not searching within this? So within this data I am searching. So my table of array is in this data. So keep the cursor here. Control Shift and side arrow key. Control Shift and down arrow key. Till the end of the data and comma. As soon as I click on the comma, you will see column index number gets highlighted. Column index number getting highlighted means which is the column from where I want the data. So first column is name, second column is department. So we are not counting from A. Always remember, whenever you are choosing column index number, you will always count within the data and not from column A. I repeat, you will always count within the data or within your selection and not from column A. So department is the second column. So 2, comma, and finally you have type of match, approximate match or exact match. If you're looking for exact values, okay, if you're looking for exact values, then you will type in a 0 because 0 gives you an exact match. But if you are looking for approximate values, you will type in a 1 because a 1 is used in case of approximate values. Press enter, and now for Lisa, you have the department as quality control. If I click on the drop down and I change it to Talsim King, you will see the department from quality control has now got changed to quality assurance. So as I keep changing my employee name, you will see that the department keeps changing. Can you all please try this formula? I will copy paste it in chat box so that it helps you all a little bit. If anyone has any questions, any queries, please let me know.
Madam, can we keep this this box on the separate tab, and that the main tab, the data tab, we can hide it? Is it possible?
Could you please repeat your question? I didn't understand the question.
That the box data validation, that box is there. So can we have
Yes.
it on the separate tab? Okay. And the
Separate
main
tab
tab,
means
it's like now the VLOOKUP simple is one tab, right? So I want, if we will, means that nobody can play with the main data, but they can only have it that this crisp.
you mean you don't want a drop down here? You would like to
No,
manually
no,
copy paste?
no, I want to hide this one from the C to I, whatever the data is there, they want to keep hide it permanently. So
Oh,
whoever will
okay.
receive this file.
So you want to do this. Is this your requirement?
Yeah.
Yes? That
Yes,
means you
yeah.
want the data to be there, but you don't want it deleted, you want it hidden.
Yeah,
But
means
you
I
want the
don't want to give
formula
it to
same.
anyone. Yeah.
Okay, so you want to give it like this or you want an alternative method?
Like this means, if I'm providing to anyone, I want to provide only this, that the whatever the visible in front of me
But
now.
it will have to look up something. So if you don't want to keep it there, you can put it on another sheet and lock this sheet and then give them only the table, right?
Okay. Thank you.
Most welcome. Try this everyone for department. Perfect. We'll wait for 1 more minute for everyone else to complete and let us go ahead. Okay, okay. Would you like to share your screen, Archana ma'am, about the drop down? I'll give you access. Yes, Archana ma'am, you can share your screen. Yes, click on the cell over your eye. Yes. Now go to data, data validation, allow list. Source of the list, click from Tony. No. Single column. Tony till downwards. Control shift down. No, go back to, yes, control shift down arrow. Take the whole column. No, single column, ma'am. Single column. This is too much. You don't need those first 3 rows. They are empty. Data validation or a drop down is of one column. Can I show it to you? Yeah, I think I'll show it to you. See it once done. Okay, so I'm going to take this blank cell here, color it yellow. And in this particular cell, I'm going to create your list or your drop down. Select the cell. Go to the data tab. Under data tools, in the drop down, you will see data validation. Click on data validation. Allow list. And in source of the list, let us go and find the data. Click on the first cell here, Control Shift and down. It is a single column which I'm taking as my data validation drop. Click on over here. So this is a list. This is your source of the list. If you see, it is C5 is to C712. This shows that column C is the constant factor and a drop down is only made on a single column. Click on OK. And when you scroll to the top, control backspace, you will see a drop down created on the yellow cell. I hope this answers your question, ma'am. And now let us try for status. Now status is also in the adjoining data. I repeat, status is also in the adjoining data. You don't have to go to any other sheet. You just have to give a reference to data which is already there on this particular sheet. So begin with equal to sign, VLOOKUP. Lookup value stands for what are you searching for. That is your employee name, comma. Table of array stands for your data or your database. So this is your data or your database, comma. Column index number is the status is in which column. So status is in the third column if you look carefully within the selection. So within the selection or within the selected area, the status is featuring in the third column. So 3, comma, and 0 for exact match. Close bracket, hit enter, and this is your answer. So now when I go and change the employee name, the department and the status, both will auto update themselves by looking up this table, which is on the left-hand side. Please try everyone for status. Let me know if you all have any questions or queries. Yes. How's it going? Done. Good work, everyone. Can you all try doing higher date on your own, everyone? Can I give you all a moment to do higher date on your own? Okay. Come on, go for it. Try the higher date, everyone, on your own. I want to see you guys do it. And copy paste the formula in the chat box. Try the higher date on your own, everyone, please. And you can copy paste it in the chat box. Okay, for those who've completed, check your answer for higher date. VLOOKUP, open bracket, lookup value name. So every time you look up the name. Why? Because every time the name changes, I would like the department, the status, the hire date, and the years to automatically change. Comma. Table of array is my data or my database. This is my data or my database. If I had converted this data into table format, I could also mention the name of the table here rather than giving a reference. Comma, column index number stands for the column number from where you're fetching the data. Column index number stands for the column number from where you're fetching the data. So fourth column, comma, 0 for an exact match, close bracket and hit enter. So here you have the higher date. But instead of the higher date, you get a numeric value. That is because this is not the correct formatting for your date. In order to get the proper formatting for your date, select the value. In the Home tab, under Number, in the drop down, you will see Short Date. This will enable you to convert your date into a proper date format. And now you will see your date as a date representation. However, if you feel that this representation of date is a little different from the one in your table, you can double click next to this number format option, and under date, you can choose the type of date that best suits your requirement. Is it clear, everyone? Any questions? For number of years, what will you do for number of years? For number of years, you will do is equal to VLOOKUP. Complete the table, everyone. What are we looking up? We are looking up the name of the employee, comma. Table of array is my data or my database, comma. Which column number is the number of years in? Fifth column, and 0 because we're looking for an exact match, and hit enter. So here I have the number of years worked. And finally, for the salary, I will again be looking up my employee name in order to find out the details. So begin with an equal to sign, VLOOKUP, open bracket. Now this VLOOKUP is the most basic or the simplest form of VLOOKUP, because the VLOOKUP table is here and the VLOOKUP data is also here. So you're not going across sheets. You're not going across data sets. You are on the same sheet whose name is VLOOKUP simple, and you are performing a vertical lookup, or as we also called it, VLOOKUP. So is equal to VLOOKUP, lookup value employee name, comma. Table of array is my data or my database. So select the data or the database, comma. We are picking up data from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th column, and 0 because we are looking for exact values or an exact match. In this manner, we have completed the table. If you feel that the numeric values are not formatted the way numbers should be formatted, we can go to number here and use this comma style in order to add a separator between your numbers. So in this manner, you can complete the table. Any questions? Any queries? Any questions? Please try this, everyone. Done. Superb. So has everyone understood the concept of VLOOKUP? Now VLOOKUP only looks up the leftmost column. So what is the drawback? It only looks up the leftmost column. So VLOOKUP, as we call it, vertical lookup, it only looks up when the data is in the leftmost column. So if your data is not in your leftmost column, it is in any other column, then VLOOKUP cannot be used. If your data is not in the leftmost column, it is in any other column, then VLOOKUP cannot be used. Then you either use your match and index or you use your XLOOKUP. But if your data is not in leftmost column, you cannot be looking up using VLOOKUP or vertical lookup. That is the main drawback or the main negative point when we talk about a VLOOKUP or a vertical lookup. Now let us navigate to this bookstore sheet. Everyone go to the bookstore sheet to consider more examples of VLOOKUP, or as we call it, vertical lookup. Has everyone gone to the bookstore sheet? Tell me what is in the leftmost column of the bookstore sheet, or which is the first column of the bookstore sheet. Bookstore sheet, everyone navigate and go to it and let me know what is in the leftmost column. Yes, the book ID. So the leftmost column on the bookstore sheet is a book ID. So first things first, what I need you all to do is, I need you all to take the book ID and create a drop down in cell K5. So what do you need to do? You need to go to the cell K5 and create a drop down or a list with all of the book IDs which are present in column A. So can everyone create a drop down? If anyone wants a recap of drop down, let me know. Let's do it together then.
Madam, please do it together.
Okay, we will do it together. We are going to take an empty cell here. And after taking an empty cell, we'll go to the data tab. And under the data tab, under data tools, we have something which is called as data validation. Data validation allows you to create something which is called as a drop down or a list. It works very well as long as you're typing data in it or you're selecting data in your drop down or your list. But if you decide to copy paste data in your drop down or your list, or you decide to type in entries which are not a part of your list, your data validation will stop accepting those rules. It will stop following those rules which it was designed or conditioned to follow. So data validation validates cells. It allows you to choose from the drop down. But if you copy paste data on it, the rules of validation get erased. Then the cell becomes an open cell and accepts any kind of data. So under book ID, under the book ID section, under data, go to data validation. Under allow, go to list. And in source of the list, close these items. So this is your source of your list. Click on OK once you have your source. Come to the drop down and start select. Can everyone create a drop down using the book ID column or column A as we may refer to it? Okay, super. Please create a list, everyone. Create a drop down or a list, everyone. Okay, great. So if everyone has completed creating the drop down for the book ID, let us now survey or study the data. In this data, which is in the adjoining table, in column A, I have my book IDs. In column B, I have the title of my books. And in column C, I have my author ID. Now, if I want my title, based on my book ID, I can use a VLOOKUP formula and look up the table on the left side. So what will I do? Is equal to VLOOKUP. Open bracket. Is equal to VLOOKUP open bracket. Lookup value stands for what are you searching for? So this is my lookup value. I am searching for my book ID. Comma, table of array. Table of array stands for your data or your database or where you are searching for the data. So for that, I'm going to select the whole data. Control Shift and down arrow key. Comma. Now they're going to ask me column index number. What does column index number stand for? Column index number stands for within the data. I repeat, column index number stands for within the data, which is the column from where I want to pick up data. Within the data, which is the column where I want to fetch the data. So here, if I'm looking for title, in which column does the title feature? Quickly in chat box. Which column does the title feature in? Which column does the title feature in, everyone?
B.
Yes. The title features in the second column. So I will press 2. And 0 because I'm looking for an exact match. So basically, for PP866, I want only the most relevant or the same title which corresponds to the book ID. Enter. So this is the book name. Let me change a little bit. If this is my book ID, this is exactly the book name that I want to refer to. Click on the drop down. This is the book ID. This is the book name. So every time I change the book ID, you will see a new title of the book being shown to you. Can everyone try this? I'll copy paste this in chat box. Please try, everyone. Okay, superb. Thank you. Okay, now there is a small catch here. When we talk about genre, genre is not on the book ID sheet. Did you all look carefully? Is genre there on the book ID sheet? But if I navigate to the info sheet, I can see genre here. It is in the D column. But can you see what has happened to the book ID here? Can you see what has happened to the book ID here? Can anyone tell me? What has happened to the book ID here? The book ID here. What has happened to the book ID? Can anyone tell me? Book ID here has been split into two columns. We need to merge it into one column. So the book ID is broken apart based on number and based on text. I repeat, the book ID has been split into two different columns. The book ID has been split into two different columns. What I need to do is I need to merge the book ID. What I need to do is I need to merge the book ID. I need to join the book ID. How do I need to join the book ID? I need to join the book ID in such a way that both of the book IDs appear in the same cell. There are multiple ways of joining them. Let us look at one way, which is using the shortcut for concatenate. So is equal to select cell B4 and shortcut sign select cell C4. So using AND operator, it works in order to join multiple data within the cell. So what does AND operator do? It joins the data in the cells. It joins the data in the cells. Come to the corner and double. So what did AND function do? It is joining the data within the cells. I repeat, it is joining the data within the cells. Let me delete it. Let me show you one more time. Is equal to select cell 1 and select cell 2. In this way, the data in both the cells gets joined into a single cell called final ID. Another way of joining it is using the concatenate function. Another way of joining it is using the concatenate function. In that, we begin with an equal to sign, C-O-N-C-A-T-E-N-A-T-E, concatenate. Can you see the prompt? Double click and accept it. Select the first cell, comma as a separator, select the second cell. So by selecting both the cells using concatenate or by using the AND shortcut sign, you can merge the data. This is one method. The other one is B4 and B5. Sorry, C4. So these are two methods. You can opt for either or, whichever method you go ahead with. When you come to the corner and double click, you will still get the same way the whole row of data has been completed. So whether you opt for concatenate or you opt for the keyboard shortcut and, both methods are created and used in order to make a single column. Both methods are used in order to make a single column. Please try this, everyone. Concatenate function and keyboard shortcut and. Has everyone completed this? Done, everyone? Okay, great. Now, since we have our leftmost column in place, do we have a leftmost column in place? Yes. Now what is there in our leftmost column here? You have the final ID. You have the genre in the fourth column within the selection. And here, what is it asking us? To fetch the genre from that sheet. So first, when we were doing a VLOOKUP, we were doing it on the same sheet, correct? Data was on one side, the table was on one side. But now, the data is on info sheet, but the form or the table is on bookstore sheet. So on bookstore sheet, I have my table, and on info sheet, I have my data. Okay, so here, this is the next type of VLOOKUP, which is called VLOOKUP across sheets. I repeat, this is the next type of VLOOKUP, which is called as VLOOKUP across sheets. How will we go about this? Is equal to VLOOKUP, open bracket, lookup value. What are we searching for again? We are looking up book ID only. Why? Because in my book, in my info sheet as well, my leftmost column is book ID only. I repeat, in my info sheet as well, my leftmost column is book ID only. Click on this book ID because we are looking up this book ID, comma, table of array. This is the most important step. Where is your data? Your data is on info sheet. So click, navigate to the info sheet, click on final ID, Control Shift side, Control Shift down. Stay here only. We make the mistake by going back and forth from here. Stay on this sheet and complete the formula. When we make mistakes in VLOOKUP across different sheets is because we go back forth. Don't go back forth. You are on info sheet, complete the formula on info sheet. Comma. Column index number. Now within the data, which column do I need to pick up? Matter form 1, 2, 3, fourth column. So my column index number will be 4. Comma. Type of match. Am I looking for an exact match? Am I looking for an approximate match? If I'm looking for an exact match, I will use 0. Close bracket, hit enter. And when I complete the formula there, it will actually come here and give my cursor here because this was my starting point of my formula. Now, if I go to book ID and change the type of book ID, you will see the title as well as the genre changes. Go back in the drop down, change it, you will again see changes. Every time I change from the drop down, you will see the title and the genre change. Should I show this to you all one more time? We look up across sheets before going to award sheet is equal to VLOOKUP, open bracket. Lookup value, what am I searching for? I'm searching for book ID, comma. Now, where is the data for genre? The data for genre is not on this sheet. It is on the info sheet. So for table of array, I will have to navigate to the info sheet to select the data. Keep the cursor here, Control Shift side, Control Shift down, and comma. Now, you need to choose the column index number. Column index number stands for the column number within the data from where you want to pick up information. Column index number stands for the column number within the data from where you want to pick up information. So at the moment, within the data, I want to pick up information from the fourth column. So 4, comma, 0 for an exact match. Close the bracket and hit enter. Here you can see genre is young adult. Now when I go to the drop down and I change the book ID from here, you will see the genre changes. Please try everyone if you all have not yet tried it. Otherwise, we can go to the award cell. Now, award cell, the data for award is on this sheet. But can you look at this data very carefully, everyone? What is in the leftmost column on the award sheet? On the award sheet, what is in the leftmost column? Title, exactly. So when I'm doing a VLOOKUP, will I look up the book ID or will I look up the title? Tell me. When I'm doing a VLOOKUP, will I look up the title or will I look up the book ID? Think and answer. My data is on award sheet. The form is on bookstore sheet. On the award sheet, in the leftmost column, I have the title. Perfect. Is equal to VLOOKUP. Open bracket. Lookup value will be title now. So when I am doing a VLOOKUP for the award, I will look up the title. Comma. Table of array stands for your data or your database. So where is your data or your database? Go to the award sheet, select your data, comma, column index number. Column index number stands for the column number within the selection from where you want to pick up data. So within this selection, from which column do you want to pick up data from? Award name is in which column? 1 and 2. Second column within selection. Complete the formula here only. The trick or the knack of always getting VLOOKUP across sheets correct is when you go to the second sheet and you are completing the formula, complete it totally there. Don't navigate back and forth. When we go to navigate back and forth, it is when we make the error. Comma. Type of match, are we looking for an exact match? Are we looking for approximations? If you are looking for an exact match, go for 0, close bracket, hit enter, and here you've got Hugo Award. Some people may also get NA. If your formula is correct and you're still getting an NA is because all books have not got awards. See this here? You will get an NA error. So in spite of your formula of VLOOKUP being correct, you will still get an NA error because on the award sheet, there is less data. Everyone has not got awards. Right? Everyone has not got awards. So you will get an error due to insufficient data. Why are you getting the error? Because of insufficient data, because of less data. Please try this much and then I will show you how to take care of the NA error that you're getting. Okay. Now, when you have an NA error or any other kind of error, and you give your sheet with errors to your colleagues or your team members, it looks as if you have made an error with a formulae. You have put in incorrect formulae, or there's a mistake in the report or the data that you're sharing, which gives a very negative impression. In order to take care of this, we have the if error function. What does the if error function do? The if error function is used to take care or do damage control of errors. So if error is used if there is an error in your data. Let me explain how if error works. If there is a value, if error will show the value. I repeat, if error, if there is a value, will show the value. But if there is an error, you can customize that error alert and give any kind of prompt instead of the error alert. You can give any kind of prompt instead of the error alert. So here, suppose I click on young adult, comma, and for error alert, I'll say error found. Okay, this is my error alert. I'm customizing. Enter. So because it is young adult, which is text, it is fine. But if I do this is equal to if error, open bracket, select this NA, comma, and I write over here error found. Now, in this case, what happens? Since NA is an error, it's giving me error. Since NA is an error, it's giving me error found. But instead of NA, had there been any text, it would give me that text. Like for example, if it would be a book name, it would be a title of a book, it could be a genre, it would give me that. So if error formulae has two parts, one is value. If there is a value, it will give you the value. And if there is an error, you can customize the error alert. Can you all practice this just in a simple manner before I show you how to add it to your Vlookup formulae and envelope your Vlookup formulae in the if error function? Can you all please try this in a simple manner? I'll copy paste it in chat so that it will help you all. So this is one instance and this is the second one where the error was found. These are two examples of if error. Has everyone finished trying out the if error function or the formulae? Okay, great. Now here, if you see, I'm getting an error. So in such scenarios, when I get an error, we go outside the VLOOKUP formulae. We go outside the VLOOKUP formulae, but after the equal to sign. And we write if error. Open. Another important point here to note is when you are writing nested functions like if error and VLOOKUP, or VLOOKUP and VLOOKUP, or a match and an index, you don't write equal to twice in the same active cell. Equal to is written only once in a particular active cell. So is equal to if error, and then you envelope the VLOOKUP, comma, and here the VLOOKUP formulae will stand for your value. Here, the VLOOKUP formulae will stand for your value, comma, value if error is highlighted now. This shows that suppose you don't get an answer through VLOOKUP, but you get an error. How will you customize that error? I will come here, I'll write open quotes, hyphen, close quotes, and close bracket. Open quotes, hyphen, and close quotes will give me a dash in the cell. Open quotes, hyphen, and close quotes will give me a dash in the cell. Hit enter, and here you can see a hyphen in the award cell. Any questions? Any questions? Any queries? Yes, sure, I'll repeat. So basically, when in a VLOOKUP formula or in any formula, you get an error, you can customize that error alert or decide what you can display instead of that error by using the if error function. Now, when the if error function is used with any other formula, firstly, you don't write multiple times equal to. Equal to is written just once. After equal to over here of the VLOOKUP, you will start writing if error. Open the bracket. Now, can you see value is highlighted? For the purpose of value, we have the VLOOKUP formula. I repeat, for the purpose of value, we have the VLOOKUP formula, comma, and for value if error, we'll do open quotes, hyphen, close quotes. Open quotes, hyphen, close quotes. Open quotes, hyphen, close quotes will give me a dash. It will give me a hyphen. Enter, and this is my answer. So basically, in if error formulae, there are only two parts to the formulae. One is if you're getting a value. If you're getting a value, use the value as it is. But if you're not getting a value, you're getting an error. You can customize the error alert and give what you would like instead of the error. Like here I gave a hyphen. I could also give open quotes, space bar, close quotes. It will give me blank cell. This cell only looks blank. But if you see the formulae bar, you can see a formulae which is giving it a prompt to be blank. Come over here. You can say over here, value not found. You can write something like this also. Or if you don't want to write that, you can write no award given. No award given. So you have full flexibility, full freedom to customize the error alert using the if error function of formula. Please try this, everyone. Try this, then we'll go to the rating sheet. Once you all have completed, in the same manner, based on the same concept, we will first do a VLOOKUP for the rating sheet. And once we finish the VLOOKUP on the rating sheet, we will apply the if error formulae to it. Okay, we'll wait for 1 more minute till everyone else completes. Okay, let's go to the rating sheet. Before we start applying the VLOOKUP, when we are doing across sheets, it's very important to see the sheet and survey the data. Now see what is in the leftmost column over here, reviewer ID. And next to that, we have the rating. So what do we have in column D? We have the reviewer ID. In column E, we have the rating. Let us go over here to the rating is equal to VLOOKUP, open bracket. Now the lookup value will be the book ID because there is reviewer ID, comma, table of array is the data or the database from where you want to fetch the data. So what does table of array refer to? The data or the database from where you want to fetch the data. So where is the data or the database? On the reviewer sheet. So navigate to the review sheet and select the data. Once you select the data, put comma and you will see column index number highlighted. Now, like we did earlier, we will complete the formulae on this sheet only. We will not be navigating back and forth between the sheets. So here, the column index number for the rating or the review number is 2 within the selection, comma, 0 because we're looking for an exact match. Close the bracket and hit enter. And here we have the answer. If you want to drop off the excess decimal, you can always decrease decimal points from here. And this is done. Now, once you have completed the VLOOKUP, for this, we need to envelope this in the if error because in certain books, you'll get NA because they have not been reviewed. I repeat, certain books you will get NA because they have not been reviewed. In that scenario, you come here and after the equal to sign, you start writing the if error formula. This is the value, comma, and value if error is open quotes, hyphen, close quotes. Now, why do you think we are putting open quotes, hyphen, close quotes? That is because hyphen is also considered as text. Hyphen is also considered as text, and that is why we are putting it in inverted comma. Enter. So now, instead of showing me an NA error, it will show me a hyphen, which is my version of customizing my error alert. Please try this, everyone. I'm copy pasting the formula in chat so that it will help you all. I hope everyone is doing the formula as we are doing it together. Okay, because it will help you all to understand it better. Once you all complete this, we will check the formulae by changing the book ID and see that the award and the ratings are changing accordingly. And then we will go ahead with more variations of the VLOOKUP or the vertical lookup. We'll wait for one more minute. In the meanwhile, let's check this. Go to the book ID drop down, change the book ID. You will see for this particular book ID, there is a title. Yes, the genre is there. There is no award given, but the rating has been provided. Let us choose something else. Over here again, title is there, genre is given, award not given, but book has been rated. This book, Tales of the Compass, genre is given, award is not given, and rating is also not given. And finally, for this particular book, title is given, genre is given, award is also given, and the book has been rated as well. So in this manner, you can always cross-check by clicking in the drop-down and seeing your entries change and checking for different variations, whether your formulas are in place or no, whether your functions are working or not. Yes? Okay, good work. Now, when we were doing VLOOKUP, till now, we always use 0 at the end of the formula. Everyone remember we did exact match. But when do you think there'll be an approximate match? We always use 0, right, for an exact match. But when do you think we will use an approximate match? Can anyone tell me? When do you think in a VLOOKUP will we use an approximate match? Because for approximate match, the number is 1. For approximate match, the number is 1. First, let us see the column here. So here we have salary between 0 to 15,000, 15,001 to 25,000, 25,001 to 40,000, and more than 40,000. Now here we have salaries between ranges. Here we have salaries between ranges. Is that clear? Okay. But if you see, I have not written anything in this column. The reason I have not written it, because only to explain to you all, I need to write 0 to 15,000, 15,000 to 25,000, 25,000 to 40,000. Only to explain to you all I need this. But when I'm actually performing a VLOOKUP, I am only looking up the leftmost column. Which column does VLOOKUP look up? Leftmost column. So if I actually try and explain to you how VLOOKUP looks up the data, it is in this manner. So it is 0 to 15,000, 15,000 to 25,000, 25,000 to 40,000, and more than 40,000. In this manner, VLOOKUP is looking up. When we use VLOOKUP for approximate match, which is 1. And these are the salary ranges. So if the salary is 13,500, 13,500, it is between 0 to 15,000, it will be in this bracket. 42,000, it will be in this bracket. 27,000, it will be in this bracket. So basically, based on the bracket in which falls, you will get the tax. You do not need the second column which shows less than, because actually in this manner, the way I had drawn this curly line, this is the way VLOOKUP is reading for an approximate match. Now what I'm going to do over here is, I am going to create a drop down of numbers. So I'm going to write 18,500, 25,800, 78,000, 45,000, 12,300, 11,200, 19,800, 33,500. So I've written these numbers. I will delete this number from here. And the first step that I'm going to do is, using these numbers, I'm going to create a drop down here for salary. So I want to make it really dynamic. So in order to make it dynamic, I need to create something which is called as a drop down or a list. And for drop down, I will need a source. So I have written my source over here. Go to the data tab after selecting the cell, and under data tools, go on the drop down and choose data validation. Click on data validation, and under allow, say list. And in source of the list, select these items. Click again here, click on OK, and here you have your list. Now what I'm going to do is, in this tax column, will I create another drop down and select the taxes from here? No. I want my taxes to be calculated by looking up this table. Let me give this table a name. It's called tax table. What is this table called? Tax table. So here I'll say is equal to VLOOKUP, open bracket. Lookup value, what am I looking up? Which is the value which will keep changing? My salary, comma, table of array. Now, if this was a range of cells, I would go up, select over here. But I have given this a name. What is the name? Tax table. So as I write tax table, I can get the table reference and double click. Comma, column index number. Column index number stands for column number within your selected area from where you want to fetch the data. I repeat, column number within your area where you want to fetch data from. So here within this table, second column has a tax, so 2, comma, and will I use 0 here? No. Here I am looking up within ranges. I repeat, here I am looking up within ranges, and hence I will press 1 for an approximate match, close my bracket and hit enter. And here I get my tax. In case you do not get your tax, there is an issue with formatting. Go to number, go to the drop down and choose from the drop down. Now, let me go and check if the formula is working. So go to the drop down of salary, change the salary, the tax will change. Change the salary again, the tax will change. As you keep changing the salary, you will see different tax amounts reflecting. This shows that our formula for VLOOKUP is foolproof over here. But here I did not do VLOOKUP with a range of cells. I converted the data into table format. In short, I am using previous knowledge of table tool in order to make my VLOOKUP formula. Is it clear, everyone? Do you all want me to repeat any part of this, or have you all followed? Should I repeat any part of this? Let me know. Yes. Yes, sure, I will repeat. Okay, are you all okay with the drop down? Yeah, the tax part. Okay. So drop down, everyone has understood how to create. I wrote the values over here and I created a drop down. Now, in order to use the VLOOKUP, VLOOKUP always looks up the leftmost column. So when we use data like this, we don't need data in this manner. We don't need 100 to 200, 250, 201 to 300, 3012, 400. I don't need data like this. VLOOKUP doesn't read data like this. VLOOKUP data, VLOOKUP reads data vertically. So VLOOKUP reads data in the form of column. VLOOKUP reads data in the form of column. And VLOOKUP always looks up the leftmost column. And after looking up the leftmost column, it gives you the data from the same row but from separate column headers. So let us come to the cell over here and let us write the formulae for tax. In order to write the formulae for tax, we will be looking up this table. Now, in order to convert this data into tabular format so that we can refer to it with the help of a name, we will do Control T and the table, create table pop-up will open. And I will say OK. And it's called table 3. I will name this as tax table. Click anywhere outside so the name gets saved. Now, instead of going and selecting this range like this, instead I will give it the name of tax table. Now, the parts of the VLOOKUP for approximate match are the same as for a normal VLOOKUP. So we begin with is equal to VLOOKUP, which is the formula name. Open the bracket. Lookup value. Lookup value stands for what are you searching for? So your lookup value stands for what are you searching for? I am searching for this particular salary value. And I want to know this salary is falling within which range of data and what will be the subsequent tax based on the range to which it belongs. Comma. Table of array stands for the range of cells or my data or my database where I am referring to. So for table of array, I will give this tax table name instead of selecting the range. Double click, comma. Column index number stands for the column number within the selection from where you're picking up data. Column number within the selection. So within the selection, from which column do I want my answers? I want my answers from the second column. So my column index number here will be 2 because my tax is in the second column. Comma. Now normally whenever we do exact match, we always use 0 in the end of the formula. But here we are not looking for an exact match. Instead, we are looking for approximate match or for approximate values, and hence we will use 1. Close the bracket, hit enter, and this is the answer. Come to the salary drop down and change the value. As you change the value, the tax will start changing. Can you all please try this, everyone? Has everyone followed? Any questions so far? Okay, great. Did everyone complete the formula? Can we go ahead? Okay. Based on the same concept of VLOOKUP for approximate match, we have another example over here where we will use 1 at the end of the formula. Over here, let us have a look at the data. The first thing you do whenever you get any data set to apply a formula is to study the data or to survey the data. Here in the first column, I have the names of my employees. In the second column, I have the salaries. In the third column, I have the number of dependents. So first column, I have the names of the employees. Second column, I have the salaries. Third column, I have the number of dependents. Let us have a look at the yellow table. In the leftmost column here, I have the salary amounts. And in the top row here, I have the number of dependents. In the top row here, I have my number of dependents. So at the intersection of salary and the number of dependents, the tax is calculated. At the intersection of salary and number of dependents, the tax is calculated. So basically, in the leftmost column of my data, which is given to me, is my salary. And VLOOKUP always looks up the leftmost column. So yes, the VLOOKUP function or formulae can be used in this particular scenario in order to calculate the tax rate. So let us do it in this manner. Begin with an equal to sign. VLOOKUP, open bracket. Lookup value. Lookup value stands for what are you searching for? I am searching for salary. Comma, table of array. Table of array stands for the data or the database that I'm referring to. So select the data or the database. Now, I am not locking this database, but if I plan to drag my formulae down, I repeat, if I plan to drag my formulae down and I want my row entries to change to D4, D5, D6, D7, this selected data will also start moving down by one row. And that is why I will get errors in my answer. So I will need to lock this data. So that is why I'm using $sign or F4 keyboard shortcut or function F4 to lock this range of cells. But if I make this range of cells into a table, it automatically locks the cell and then I only use the name of the table. I will show you 2 to 3 variations to complete this. So this is the first step, comma. Column index number. Number of dependents is 2. Now number of dependents is 2. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Fourth column, correct? Comma. Will I use 0 here? No. We are looking within ranges, so I will use 1, close bracket, enter. And this is my answer. Is the answer correct? Yes, the answer is correct because it is in this range and there are 2 employees. Okay. Let us do it for the next one. Is equal to VLOOKUP, open bracket, lookup value of salary, comma. Where is the table of array? This is the table of array. How will you lock it? With $sign, comma. Number of dependents here is 4. If number of dependents is 4, which column is it in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So number of dependents 4 is in which column? 6th column. Comma. Which is the last part of the formula? The last part of the formula is the type of match. Am I looking for an exact match? Am I looking for an approximate match? Here, I'm looking for an approximate match. And hence, I will use 1 in the last part of my formula. Close the bracket, hit enter, and this is my answer. Are you all getting what I'm trying to say? Can you all try this formula, please, everyone? Please try it. I need to explain to you all more permutations and combinations of this formula. So please try this much for now. Okay, let us try one more example. I repeat, let us try one more example. In this scenario, which is scenario 2, what I am going to do is I'm going to convert this data into table format. I'm going to convert it into table format. In order to convert this data into table format, I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut Control T. When I click on Control T and convert this data into table format, you will see that this is now represented as table 5. This particular table now is represented as table 5. So let us come here, is equal to Vlookup, open bracket, lookup value, salary, comma, table of array. Will I refer to the range of cells? No. Since I have given it a table name now, I will call it table and I will double click on 5 from here because I know this is table 5. How do you cross verify whether it's the correct table? When table 5 is written here, you will see there's like a bounding box around this table. This bounding box indicates that this is the table that it is referring. Comma, column index number. Again, for column index number, if number of dependents is 2, you'll have to count 1, 2, 3, 4 and write 4 and 1 because it's an approximate match and complete the form. The answer that you get will be the same once you change the formatting. Okay. So both methods, answer is the same. Can you all please try method 2? Have you all completed, everyone? Once you are complete with table, let me know. Then I will show you how to recognize the pattern within this data set. Then I will show you how to recognize the pattern within this data set. Okay. Now, if you notice, okay, I can drag this formula down. But the problem is, for column index number, it is only taking 4. Do you realize that? And if I drag this also, for column index number, it's only taking 4. But here, the number of dependents is 0. Here, the number of dependents is 2. Here, the number of dependents is 3. So let us look for a pattern within this data. Let us look for a pattern within this data. Now, if you see this data over here, number of dependents 2, number of dependents 2, this is 0 dependence, this is this is 0 dependence, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, and this is 6. Firstly, let me remove this data from table format because I cannot see the color of the range. Okay. Now, if you look very carefully at the data, number of dependents 2 is actually in column number 4. Number of dependents 2 is actually in column number 4. Number of dependents 4 is actually in column number 6. Number of dependents 6 is actually in column 8. Number of dependents 0 is in column 2. Number of dependents 1 is in column 3. Number of dependents 3 is in column 5. Number of dependents 5 is in column 7. Can you see a pattern of +2? That means if I take number of dependents and I add 2 to it, I get the actual column from where I want to fetch data. I repeat, if I take the number of dependents and I add 2 to it, I get the actual column number from where I need to pick up the data. Are you all able to notice this pattern? Because there is a difference of 2 between the number of dependents and the actual column where it is present in. Why? Because one column is lost with the salary and another column is with 0 number of dependents. So 2 columns are engaged over here, and hence there is a difference of 2 between the number of dependents and the actual column where it is featuring in within your data. So that is why if I take the number of dependents and I add 2 to it, I will get the actual column from where I need to fetch data. So see, this is equal to VLOOKUP. Lookup value salary, comma. Table of array, the whole data. Yes, we will be taking the whole data. Use $sign to lock because we are going to drag the formulae down. Take the number of dependents and add 2, comma 1 because I'm looking for approximate match. Press enter. Now when I come to the corner of the cell and drag the formulae down, it will take the changes in the number of dependents and keep adding 2 to it to give me the actual column number within this data where I need to be picking up the answer from. Did you all follow this? This is a little tricky, and that is why I did not show you all at the first instance only. I showed you all 2-3 permutations and combinations before we came to this pattern-based series of a VLOOKUP for an approximate match. So this is the way the formula is written. I am copy pasting it in the chat box, but I am repeating it one time so you can follow along and try it out with me. So begin with an equal to sign, VLOOKUP, open bracket. Lookup value, that is what are you searching for? I'm searching for salary. Why? Because in my table, in my leftmost column, my salary is there. Comma. Table of array stands for data or database. So I'm going to select my data or database. I will use the $sign to lock it because I plan to drag my formulae down. Comma. Column index number stands for the column number from where you plan to fetch the data. So basically, the column number is nothing but the number of dependents plus 2. So if the number of dependents is 2, it is actually column number 1, 2, 3, 4. If the number of dependents is 4, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when I take the number of dependents and I add 2 to it, I get the actual column from where I need to fetch data. Comma 1 because I'm looking for an approximate match and enter. Come to the corner of the cell and drag the formulae down and it will replicate the entire series. Please try, everyone. Okay, superb. Anyone else? Any questions? Any queries? Okay, after this, there is another sheet over here, which is called as VLOOKUP Advanced. I would like you all to try this sheet as homework or an assignment before the next session. So today is Tuesday. Our next session is on Thursday, which gives you one Wednesday where you can explore this particular sheet. In the sheet, first, you will look up the acronym of the state from this table. So you have the names of the states here. You will look up the acronym from this table. Once you get the acronym and you have the number of dependents, you will do another VLOOKUP for the number of dependents. So here you have V1, which is your VLOOKUP 1, and you have V2, which is your VLOOKUP 2. So in this particular sheet, you will be performing two VLOOKUPs. First VLOOKUP will be for this green table. The answer you get from here and using number of dependents, you will use the yellow table to perform your second VLOOKUP. So this is a small assignment I'm giving you all. I request you all to work on this. At least complete the VLOOKUP 1 over here. If you all do not manage VLOOKUP 2, we will definitely explore the different manners in which we can do this in the next session before we go ahead with match and index and the date functions. If anyone has any questions or any queries, let me know. Any questions, any queries?